How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, back for our Week 17 Part 2 preview and prediction show. And I brought a decent amount of company with me. Window to North Carolina via the Bronx, New York, Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Bosco from the Bronx. Window 3, Fly Eagles Fly 2023, Mr. Daniel Nunez, rocking the old school Kelly Green Eagle logo. I hate your team, but I must admit that is a dope logo, and I'm going to give you props on that. Always like those 80s/90s NFL uniforms. The retro is the way to go. And they have those starter. Yeah, that is the Buddy Ryan. That is the Buddy Ryan. I like it. I like it a lot. Randall Cunningham, Fred Barnett, old school Eagles. Mr. Ryan Shedd, window 4, upstate New York, San Francisco 49ers enthusiast, and kind of calm, looking confident. I know he's going to have a lot to say about how the last 2 weeks and beyond are going to fill out for the NFL. We have just so many storylines right now. You know, we saw what happened on Thursday night yesterday.
I would like Idris to come in because you say he's from North Carolina. I want to do some Petey Pablo, come on and raise up. I want him to start dancing around, getting all crazy, representing North Carolina. The guy is just kind of chilling. Come on, Idris. I think he froze up on us anyway.
I think he just had enough of you already. Idris will be back. I do believe he did indeed freeze up. Interesting timing. That was funny as hell. We're going to start this up in Chicago, one of the more iconic stadiums, Soldier Field. The Atlanta Falcons, kind of on a final playoff whim. They need this to keep their playoff hopes alive. And, you know, what's going to go down in Tampa will have a huge bearing on Atlanta's future as well. Atlanta, I still think, is more so alive for that final wild card. Bijan Robinson goes without saying, the most talented player on the Falcon offense. I think that if they're going to go in there and grab a road dub against a Bears team that's actually playing rather confidently, it starts with Bijan. Bijan is the answer, along with anyone else who can contribute to that Atlanta running game. If I'm the Falcons, that is what your identity needs to be. That opens up everything else for your potential playmakers. As the Bears go, I really like what I'm seeing out of Justin Fields lately. And it seems like it did take him a while to figure it out. But with the Bears having the number 1 pick in this year's draft via Carolina and another top 10 pick based on their record, I do believe that the Bears are not far from fixing things. And there could be a very famous coach heading that way. We'll discuss that in detail after our picks, at least a little theory that I have. Shedd, I'm going to start with you, buddy. What are your thoughts on this particular game? I personally don't think anybody in this game is going to the playoffs, but you know there is a possibility.
No, I like the Bears to win the game. They're home. Atlanta plays in the dome, and they're not used to the weather. The Bears have been playing very well lately. And to your point about the coaching change, Matt Eberflus might keep his job, man. They've been playing a lot of good football here towards the last, end of the back end of the season here. If they end up beating Atlanta, and I'm not sure who they got the last week, but they win out, that his job's safe. Like you said, Justin Fields has been playing a lot better. I mean, DJ Moore's made a huge difference. He loves Cole Kmet. He's using that. Their running game is still kind of suspect. You thought it would be a little bit more than it currently is. But I'll take the Bears 27-18.
All right, so you got the Bears by 9. I think Idris is popping back in. I'm going to move it over to you, Nunez. What are your thoughts on this game, buddy?
I'm going to make it nice and short and sweet. I like Justin Fields. I think he's doing pretty good. But I'm going to take Atlanta. I'm going to take an Atlanta 27-21.
Okay.
I just don't see the Bears really. I mean, they look pretty good, but it's just, I know Atlanta's got something that they want to kind of trying to get that division title any way they can. But I mean, we'll see. But I got Atlanta winning 27-21.
They got to win, yeah. If they lose this game, they could forget about not just the division title, but probably the playoffs as well. Because if Atlanta should finish second, they still kind of got like a chance to sneak that final spot because The Seahawks are holding on by a thread. The Vikings just fell out. I mean, shoot, the Packers and Vikings suddenly becomes an important game, and we're going to hit on that towards the end of the show. Idris, your thoughts? Chicago Bears hosting the Atlanta Falcons.
BJ and Algier is up and down the road, man. They're playing in Atlanta too.
No, this Chicago.
It's Soldier Field.
Oh, is it? Ooh, I think it's playing in Atlanta. I'm still gonna go Atlanta. Still Bijan and Algier still get their yards. I'm not sure Heineke. I think Heineke's starting the game.
I believe so.
He is. Yep. They bench Ritter for the rest of the season.
Okay, yeah, they roll with Heineke. Heineke's tough enough. He'll get the ball downfield to Algiers and Mr. You know who he is, Mr. I catch the ball once in a while. I need to show up. Yeah, I'm gonna go 27-24, win by a field goal, because Atlanta knows they got to keep pace with Tampa Bay, and they can't lose anymore. Another loss, and it's curtains for them. 27-24 Atlanta.
I'm gonna have to agree with Shed here. I like the Bears because I believe that Justin Fields has the ability to extend plays. And although Khalil Herbert has pretty much missed the entire season, he's healthy, finally. He's been rotting away on my fantasy bench until I finally got tired and just got rid of his ass. But I actually believe that he's going to run the ball well. And I'm not quite sure who's got the answer for Chicago's receivers. And I also think Cole Kmet is a great candidate for a blow-up game. I've got the Bears winning this thing 27-16, 11-point victory for the Chicago Bears.
I'm changing mine too. You know what I was thinking? I'm thinking fantasy like we were talking today. Yeah, I'm going Chicago. Okay. Flip it around. I'm going to go 27-18 Chicago.
That's exactly my score. What a guy. Yeah, that's the same thing I said.
Yeah, I still think Bijan and Algiers, I still think they'll get their yards. But yeah, I'm going to flip it. I was thinking fantasy because me and him were talking fantasy earlier. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to – anybody who saw my show earlier today already knows a little bit that I'm pretty pissed off with myself for not starting Joe Flacco in 2 different work leagues. We'll see if it comes back to bite, but I'm not happy about my decision. I had every reason to believe the fantasy experts, but I kind of wish I would have just plugged him in. David Njoku had a hell of a night for me, though.
Sure did. Yeah.
Oh, they said Flacco.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, at least I don't feel the way a player, coach, personnel, or fan would feel today. New Orleans Saints traveling down south to Tampa Bay, a rematch. This is essentially for the division title. Tampa wins, they're going to win the division. It's that simple. The Saints need to win to even up the season series against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so fantasy, right? I chose Derek Carr over Joe Flacco. So now I have no choice but to support Derek Carr. I know. In the words of Brett, I just hope he's improving. Chris Olave could drag down to a potential game time decision. He is definitely banged up, even if he plays. He's not 100%, but as the game goes, I think Tampa wins this thing. And my real only hope is that it opens up into an offensive-centric game similar to what we saw the Saints play against the Rams, because we have seen over the years these two teams play where everybody struggles with getting into the end zone, and it could be a field goal-thon. And in fantasy championship week in a 2-quarterback league, I need Derek Carr to get some numbers. But I don't necessarily believe that offensively New Orleans has what it takes to win this game. Tampa's defense, while the secondary can give up some big plays, I do like their front seven. They kind of similarly have an issue, kind of like Daniel's Eagles, where the front seven is damn good and the secondary's a little leaky. But against middle-of-the-road offenses, I do believe Tampa will succeed. I got Tampa winning this thing 24-20. 24-20. It's going to be a little closer. 24-20. Tampa for the win. It'll be close, but Tampa gets it done. Good Baker arrives.
Well, same thing. This division, Tampa wins it. It's a wrap. They got it. Doesn't matter what happens after that. I mean, it still could come down to the final game, but basically, it's Tampa Bay's game. Good Baker's been playing lately because bad Baker is poor Baker. Mike Evans, Godwin, end zone, Godwin in the end zone. 27-21. Carr has a decent day. I just don't trust their defense.
I don't give a damn about their defense. Just throw like 3 touchdowns, Carr, and day.
Yeah, I think Carr has a good day.
Brett could finally be vindicated.
I like Tampa as well. I don't think there's a bad Baker in this game. There's only been a couple occasions when there's been a bad Baker this season. I know we always say good Baker, bad Baker, but quite honestly, it's good Brock Purdy, bad Brock Purdy. I mean, my point is like there's way more highs with Baker than there are lows. And I'll take him against a suspect New Orleans defense, as we've seen over the past few games. And Derek Carr still can't get that offense going. Whether he's got Olave and Shaheed, Kamara, it doesn't matter. It seems like they can never seem to get the ball in the end zone. Based on that, I'll take Tampa Bay to win 24-17.
This one, I'm up in the air. Because the only reason why I say it's up in the air because I have Chris Olave in my fantasy. And
fantasy's coming up a lot.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I am pissed because I lost by 0.92 of a point in the semifinals.
Oh, come on.
Heartbreaker. 0.92. Another guy, he had the running back from Baltimore, and he just needed 2 yards. And he got like 7 8 yards in the last play, and I was just whatever. I'm gonna go with the New Orleans Saints. I'm gonna say 17-14 Saints.
Ooh, defensive game.
I like it.
You got to change that screen name to Man on an Island. This is the second time that you're going against the Packers, but it's good though because you're gonna if some of these picks start coming true, you're gonna look like the real Savannah. You might have to start your own thing with picking games.
Like
funny fantasy story that happened to my buddy Tim when he went head to head with me, and it involved the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo gave him the lead late. I'm like, shit, man, I'm going to lose. The 49ers decide to run 3 kneels where Jimmy took like these long steps backwards. Jimmy's a big dude.
Yeah.
After kneel downs, the point tally, I beat him by 0.2. Ouch. That is ouch for real.
Yeah.
And
that's no way to win a fantasy game. No offense.
In the sunlight.
Now you see why I hate playing fantasy. I like playing it, but I hate it because little things like that'll piss me off.
Oh, dude, that game a couple of years back where New England ran the ball about 80 times in Buffalo.
Was that last year?
I think it was 2 years ago. And then Josh Allen finally starts playing some offense.
Yeah,
I'm like, I need 6 yards. Throw the ball. And
they ran the ball like the 3 passes the whole game.
I missed the playoffs by 1 game that year. Just want to tell you. Okay, Arizona traveling to Daniel's guys, the Philadelphia Eagles, a former NFC East rivalry, believe it or not, for those that don't remember. This is your team, Daniel. Therefore, I will start with you. Your Eagles finally broke a losing streak. It seems like you guys trend to have one of those weird losing streaks once a year after essentially being the best team week to week, because going back to last year, a good portion of this year, you guys do have the best regular season win percentage. You beat your main rival, New York Giants, 33-25 in a game that I actually enjoyed from the level that it was a hard-fought game. I think both teams played very hard. How well both teams played, another conversation. But what are your thoughts, Daniel, moving forward, and mainly this game and what you think after this?
Okay, so two things are coming out of this. Avonte Maddox is coming back from injury. That is going to help out the secondary tremendously, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He's a good ball player.
Cunningham's going to come back. He's coming back. We have Dickerson coming back on offense. I mean, it's like we're slowly gelling back, getting healthy at the right time. The only thing, and it's what's good about it is that Swift is 12 yards off his first ever 1,000-yard rushing. He's 5th in the NFL in rushing.
Quietly, because a lot of people would not know that stat if you didn't mention it.
Crazy,
He's 5th.
man.
He is 5th in the league. And he's only not that bit away from, I guess, Monster from
Raheem Mostert,
Yeah,
from Miami.
I think.
Hurting, and he's hurting this week.
Two receivers, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, over 1,000 yards back to back receiving. I got Eagles. I think this time with the help of Avonte Maddox coming in, and then you got, of course, Ringo. I mean, this boy, 2 games already. I mean, you got him. I think now Philadelphia is going to start playing defensive football, and I think the Eagles are going to. I have it Philadelphia 31. I have Arizona 17. I think this is the game where we're actually going to finally. I mean, like, I'm just finally going to kick some ass. Hopefully I'm right. But I mean, at the end of the day, the way I see it is this: we all play for W's. It might look nasty. I mean, I can take that away from the Giants. They played a hell of a game against us. So I mean, we won, yes, but like Devontae Smith said, he ain't happy. And as an Eagles fan, I'm happy, but I shouldn't be worried. You know, we shouldn't have worried. Well, damn, what's gonna happen with the defense in this game? It's like, And I think first Swift will get us over 1,000 yards rushing. I think Jalen's gonna have a 3-touchdown game. He just needs to control his fucking turnovers. And I just
Bring your chest out, Daniel.
It's like I said, the 3 losses. It brought a little. I have the faith in my team. No matter what, if we're losing 3-4 in a row, you gotta have faith in your team, no matter what. So we can be critique of our team, but when they won, I was like, what a Christmas present for me. I was like, but then when the Niners lost, no offense, Shed, it was like the best Christmas present ever. You know, and I'm saying 31, Philadelphia 17. I think the defense is gonna get up there. Murray, if he is gonna play, I'm not sure. I know he was sick, but I'm more likely he'll play. I just don't see Arizona with Gannon. It's a little personal for Philadelphia, you know. So yeah.
Well, Gannon proved his worth of formerly being in this division with a victory over the Cowboys earlier in the year. I don't want to give him all that. I do think the Cowboys emotionally were going through it, with that being the week that they lost Trayvon Diggs. I think there was a few other things going on, but he called a great game, and it's a week-to-week league based on matchups. As this game goes, if Arizona had a little more going on in the receiving room, I would entertain the upset variable a little more, but I can't do that. While I'm not exactly, if I'm an Eagle fan, I'm not exactly endeared with everything that the Eagles did last week. You know, Idris and I talked about it before we got on the air. If Tyrod Taylor plays the first 2 quarters, I think the Giants win. And that's not even saying much either, because we have more than proven over 15 weeks our share of inadequacy. The Eagles secondary is still their issue. Until they play better in that secondary, I'm not buying anything about their back half. Their front 7 is good. Their front 7 makes it difficult.
Son Reddick.
Middle of the road or bad offensive lines, and sometimes even good offensive lines. That is the Eagles' strength. Jalen Hurts has to take care of the football. I don't necessarily think that this particular week is a week that you have to worry about that, but the playoffs are around the corner. Philadelphia 30, Arizona 20. 49er fans will be rooting for division rival Arizona, because if an Eagles loss and a Niner win will sew up the Niners' home field advantage. But personally, I think it's inevitable. They have the tiebreaker over you and Dallas. They just got to win the next 2, and it don't matter who does what, which I think will happen. I think the road runs through Santa Clara. Eagles by 10.
I got the same score Daniel has, 31-17. I think the Eagles win this week. Cowboys lose this week. They could sit down next week against the Giants, because depending on what happens with Frisco. But I think Frisco's going to run that out. I think that's it. Philly's getting healthy at the right time. Like I said, their front 7, Hassan Reddick. Arizona can't let him run free like the Giants did. He was just like,
that was ridiculous, man. It was like a friggin' turnstile.
No, not even a nudge. Straight to the quarterback.
Yeah, you got to account for that guy when he's the one causing all the havoc. That was pathetic.
And it's not like he's a slow guy. The guy's fast.
Oh, guy's a great athlete. This guy's a very good athlete.
Guy's fast.
I love the ball player. Perfect
think,
for what they do on defense.
I think they'll give Kyler Murray headaches. I think they're going to give him some headaches. Yeah, Kyler Murray can get out there and run, but I don't know if he's going to do that against Philly. That front line, man. Slade being out is going to hurt them, but I think they'll make up for it with the front line.
I think this is a game where the tight ends could really be featured too. I'm talking about both of them. For the fantasy head, Arizona's tight end is one of the emerging stars in a losing effort. He has a good game. Dallas Goedert goes without saying, top 10 tight end in the league. He'll have a great
I think
and DeAndre Swift, I expect him to run the ball well.
Yeah, Swift's good. I think Swift will get 100. I think he'll get 100 easy.
Wouldn't shock me.
It wouldn't surprise me if they scored more than 31. They want to get a home fan something to say, hell yeah, rather than nail it. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna bust Arizona's ass.
Mr. Shed, you're a 49er fan. Is there any scenario where you see the Arizona Cardinals doing you guys a belated Christmas gift and beating the Eagles, setting you guys up to clinch it on Sunday?
Absolutely not. I do think that Arizona's game plan is going to be to run the ball to keep Jalen Hurts and that offense off the field. And James Conner's been balling out.
Yeah.
I'll give him props for that. But dude, Philadelphia is just more talented. They just got more going on. I mean, there might be some garbage time touchdowns and field goals mixed in there, but Philly's going to dominate the game. I just don't see anything that's going to stop them from winning the game. I mean, they're even home too to make it even easier for them. Again, with garbage time points, I'll say it's 31-20. But again, garbage time points. Like it's not going to be close.
You're almost kind of identical to me. We're just off a point on each other's prediction. All right. As I did with Daniel, I'm going to let Shed start the next one because this is his team. The 49ers at 11-4, the NFC's best, are traveling to D.C. to take on the Washington Commanders in the first of the second final game of Riverboat Ron's run in Washington. Barring a miracle, he's gone. There is no miracle. He is gone. As I already alluded to, the Niners can clinch the NFC playoff home field situation with an equal loss mixed with a win of their own. Niners had a rough go against an AFC leading and NFL best Baltimore Raven team. It's always tough with those interconference games. Sometimes it's a good thing to get slapped around like that because you might see them in a month or so. And a lot of times it's an aberration. But you give credit where it's due. The Ravens played a great game last week against the Niners. Niners are due for a loss, man. They've been playing some great football for pretty much the entire year. And going into that game, I said Purdy and Lamar are the MVP candidate. Lamar might have jumped them. Anyway, Shed, your thoughts, 49ers. Always find yourselves in the title game damn near every year of recent memory. I've said it before. I say it again. You got the best roster in the league.
Yeah, the best roster in the league is pretty banged up right now. We're missing 4 starters on defense. Their offensive line, as you guys saw last week against Baltimore, very suspect, and they're also banged up, as you are well aware as well. And I do think that there's 2 caveats to Riverboat Ron changing from Sam Howell to Jacoby Brissett. If you hadn't noticed, Niners seem to have an issue with running quarterbacks. I think he switched to Brissett because Sam Howell's more of a pocket passer, and that Niners front line is going to eat him up. And Howell hasn't been playing great anyway, but he's still, in my opinion, a better quarterback than Brissett is. But Brissett can scramble and get away from that front 4 and try to make something happen, throw it to Terry McLaurin, whatever. However, I mean, I do like the Niners to still win the game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer and a lot more like grudgier than people expect. I'll take the Niners to win 31-21.
I'm kind of with you on the same wavelength. I got the Niners winning 34-20. I could see a scenario where maybe it's like a late interception that spreads it out to 2 scores. Washington this time of the year, very cold place to play. But the biggest concern, to your point about Howell not playing, I think it's a self-preservation thing with the Commanders acknowledging that's their future. They have the worst offensive line in the entire league. And do you really want that kid to get killed when you think about some of those guys the Niners have on defense and the different kind of packages that they can put you on? But yes, garbage time could be a factor, but I actually think, to Shed's point, this might be a little closer just because of sheer pride. I don't give a damn if they're only a 4-win team. Late in the year, that's not the easiest place to win a football game. Niners will, though, and the Niners are a damn good road team.
Okay. I'm gonna go on. We got feedback.
Yeah, we're getting a little feedback.
I'm gonna say, even though I would love to see the Niners, I think real. I think it's gonna be Niners 42, Niners 13. Wow. I'm going on a blowout. I think the Niners are gonna be pissed with a chip on the shoulder because of what happened to him last week. Only thing I'm worried about Brock Purdy with that thing, how bad did he get hit? So, lady. And look at the last game.
Daniel, I don't mean to interrupt you, buddy. I just want to ask you a quick question. By chance, do you have a pair of headphones in the house? Because I think we are getting some feedback over from your side.
Hold on, I'm wearing the headphones. Okay, hold on.
1, 2.
Yeah, son. Hold on 1 second.
Holding on the offense. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah, because I can hear it too.
Go ahead, Daniel. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Just talk a little. We'll see how it flows.
Hey, mute yourself. Richie. What happens? Richie, mute yourself real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say something. No, it ain't.
That ain't him.
This is cool, man. We're giving everybody like little tutorials on how.
Yeah. There we go.
Yep, there it's gone.
How about now?
Yep.
Yeah,
we're
good.
Yep. Perfect.
Back to the show.
All right. Mic check.
Eagle fans.
You're good, Daniel. Yep.
They always want the attention, man. Go ahead, man.
I didn't even notice. I just heard my echo. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" So, back to what I was saying. I think it's gonna be an ass kicking. Like I said, even though I would love to see the Niners lose, but I'm being real as a sports person. You gotta. I can see McCaffrey. Oh shit! There we go again.
Just talk, buddy. You all right?
Yeah, you go. You go.
So 42. San Fran.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do, Daniel, I'm gonna remove you and I'm gonna have you come back in. Sometimes it's something as simple as that.
Okay.
Offsides. Eagles. First time.
No, you know what's gonna be wild? If I reinvite Daniel and then Big Dom comes in. We'll see you in a minute, brother.
Yeah.
Still getting it though.
I don't know, man.
No.
Let me mute myself. I don't know what happened.
At any rate, I think I speak for the panel that these 49ers should have zero issue defeating the Washington Commanders here. I'm going to move it along to Mile High Stadium. We have got the Los Angeles Chargers visiting the Denver Broncos, 5-10 at 7-8. The real story going into this game is actually that of Russell Wilson. Him getting benched in favor of Jarrett Stidham. Just really, if you're a fan and you know that you have seen this guy put up a similar stat line to Pat Mahomes. Now, granted, Mahomes isn't having an elite kind of season. Having said all that, it kind of makes me question what's important to them. I know that there's financial variables as to why they don't want Wilson to finish out the final two. And I was very vocal and very passionate about what I think of Sean Payton and that I don't really think you're sending the right president to your team when essentially Wilson improved quite a bit from last year and did everything that he was asked of. I think that's the best way to explain it. But as the game goes, the Chargers are depleted in a massive way in the receiving room. And Denver suddenly has a guy starting that's only thrown 4 passes. This could either be 6-3 or this could be in the 40s. I'm not sure. But the Denver Broncos are a better team than the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm going to settle on Denver 24, Los Angeles 14. And this win will not help Denver, barring too many miracles from happening, because last week the New England Patriots essentially ended Denver's chances of getting in. It was a really costly loss. And in a situation like that last week, I feel that Bill Belichick outcoached Sean Payton. But Denver wins. And if I hear one more Giant fan say that they want Russell Wilson, I'm literally going to punch my screen because they're idiots if they want him. And that's not against Russ. You cannot take on that situation right now. It's just stupid. Like the fact that they're even considering this. I think Russ goes back to Seattle, by the way, guys. I mentioned it earlier. I think he goes back to Seattle as a stopgap for whoever they draft.
I'll take this one. I gotta.
Go ahead, buddy.
Size on the Niners.
Might be.
Well,
I like Denver to win
regardless.
I'll take. I actually agree with Sean Payton benching Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson was overrated. Seattle, I think he was overrated. Those draft picks.
Oh, absolutely.
The salary as well. And Sean Payton wants to pick his own guy. He kind of inherited Russell Wilson. He tried to make the best of it. He changed the culture already. He got rid of Randy Gregory and a few other pieces. This is just what he's going to do. He just wants to make his own team. Build it from scratch if he has to. Have everybody buy into the culture. Anyway, so I'll take Denver to win 20-12.
I do want to add one thing to this before we move it along. While I agree with what you said about they gave up way too much for Russell Wilson, I'm still not convinced that they didn't give up too much for Sean Payton as well. I have pretty staunch feelings about Sean Payton being a bit overrated as a coach, but the only way that he could prove me wrong or say that I'm just being stupid is to just win with the new guy. And to your point, Shed, every coach always wants to get their guy. So I completely am on board with you there. Nunez or Idris, anything you guys want to add to this before we move it along to a more meaningful game?
Idris, you were out.
My bad. Denver 27-21. Same thing you said, Richie. Same thing what you said. Shared.
I'm saying 35-21.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're having definitely an issue with the echoes today, so we're just going to play through it. Nunez, what are your thoughts on this game before we move it along to Seattle and Pittsburgh?
Broncos 35. Broncos 35, 20. Ass whipping. Yeah.
All right. Heading to Lumen Stadium, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into Seattle to take on the 8-7 matching record Pittsburgh Steelers and the Seahawks Super Bowl 40 rematch. Really exciting stuff. I'm just kidding. I'm not that amped about this. But having said that, the Pittsburgh Steelers do have an opportunity to sneak into the playoffs. It seems like every year they find a way. As Seattle goes, a mixed bag. Going all the way back to last year, I do not view them as a heavy hitter in this NFC West division because the Rams have swept them. The Niners have swept them. And I think from a toughness standpoint, that's what I'm looking for from the Seattle Seahawks. The New York Giants last year were the first team to make the playoffs with only having one divisional win. The Seattle Seahawks could actually duplicate that feat because they currently are in the 6th spot. When you add an extra playoff position for your conference, And when you add an extra week, these kind of things can happen where you could suck against your division but play well elsewhere. I like the Steelers for the upset here. Why do I feel that way? Because I think Mason Rudolph actually gets this system better than Kenny Pickett does. Mason Rudolph played in some games prior to the Kenny Pickett experiment. Mitch Trubisky, that dude needs to just retire. But I do like Mason Rudolph a little more than I like anybody that plays quarterback for Seattle. Idris and I said this super recently. Geno Smith is the same damn player as Drew Lock on so many variables. Pittsburgh by a touchdown. Actually, no, I'm going Pittsburgh by 10. 24-14, Pittsburgh by 10. They win the turnover battle 3-1.
27-21. Pittsburgh. Mason Rudolph does his thing. I don't trust Geno Smith to Lock.
Either one of them. And I hate Pete Carroll being an Irish fan, so I just want to add that. Yeah. All right, Nunez, you're up. What are your thoughts on this?
I will say Pittsburgh 23. Yeah. I see it a close game. But I'm gonna roll with the Steelers. Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead and take Seattle. Actually, it's tough to play up in Seattle. The Niners obviously swept them, and the Rams went up there and won and beat them as well. Seattle's gonna definitely have their hands full with Pittsburgh, but I don't know if Mason Rudolph is going to be the answer for them against Seattle. It's very tough to play up there. I do think they're just a better team. The Seahawks, I mean. I'll take them to win 24-18.
Neither result would shock me in this scenario because personally, I believe that both these teams have quite a few holes. I just got this funny vibe that Seattle's going to fall out of this thing, which leads us into our Sunday night game, a couple of games from right now. I have a feeling that there's a team that plays in Wisconsin that's going to sneak in, whether they deserve to or not. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at here. A rematch of last year's AFC title game just doesn't have the same kind of luster. The Cincinnati Bengals at 8-7 taking on the 9-6 Kansas City Chiefs. And both these teams are coming off pretty big losses rather. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase, still not cleared to play. He looks like a game time decision. For my sake, I hope he suits up because of the fantasy variable of it. Chiefs need a big game out of their defense to compensate for that struggling offense, but I do believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to show up in this one. The Chiefs still have a good defense. Bengals have certain parts of their defense that is good. But Jake Browning coming off, honestly, his first bad game since replacing Joe Burrow, because I don't consider the game where he came in for him that, in the middle of the game, that don't really count. I just think, especially if Chase doesn't play, it's just too much to ask out of Cincinnati. And especially because it took 5 turnovers and just some horrible decision-making to lose that game to the Raiders last week. I think the Chiefs refocus, and I actually think the Chiefs might put a beating on these guys. I'm going Kansas City 34, Cincinnati 20, and I don't think the score is even as close as the actual game itself. I think the Chiefs win, and if not for 3 hours, look like the defending world champions. I still don't think the Chiefs are going far because this is the first time they've ever had to do it on the road in the Mahomes era.
I'm going to go 27-17 Chiefs. The Chiefs offense can score, but golly, they just don't look like themselves anymore, man. But I think they'll get on the right track this week. Jake Browning's my dude, always been my dude going back to Washington. But I think the same thing without Jamar Chase. Even with him, I don't think it'll be enough to go against that Chiefs defense. I'm gonna go 28-18 Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll take Kansas City as well. I like Kansas City to right the ship here. Especially this is the right time of year. I mean, I think they went out and they're going to be a tough team to beat in the playoffs. But I mean, that defense is still pretty stellar. Jamar Chase is still banged up. You know, I think it's gonna be a closer game than Richie does. I'll say Chiefs 27-24.
I'm going with the upset. Bengals over the Chiefs.
Good for you.
I'm going with the Bengals. I think you know, to say with Idris, you're looking at a different Chiefs team. Come on, Kelsey dropping footballs. I mean, the Chiefs lead the league in drop passes. Ever since Tay came involved, it totally jacked up the whole dynamic, I think, of the damn football team. And Kelsey's not focused. He's not focused on Tay, shaking it off, whatever. And I'm going to say Cincinnati 27. I'm going to say Cincinnati 27, Kansas City 24 in overtime. Cincinnati kicked a game still with a win.
Okay.
But, you know, a reason why, too, I don't like Kansas City. Screw them. I actually won some money last week with the Chiefs and the Raiders game. I picked the Raiders to win that game.
Oh, that was a money bet right there.
Cha-ching.
I won $200. So
that's a money bet right there. Shoot.
But I just don't see Kansas City even doing anything really in the playoffs. I just don't. They need to watch it because they lose this game, and if the Raiders beat the Colts, then we have an interesting finale at the end next week. They need to I don't know. I'm more for the underdog. I think it's more like, you know, it's sometimes I just don't see. I mean, if Mahomes does beat the living crap out of them, hey, congratulations. But I'm going for the Bengals in this one. All
right. Yeah. Cool.
Next up, Richie. You're on mute.
You talking to me?
No, Richie.
Richie's on mute.
All right. Before we hit on the final game that we're going to cover, I want to have a little fun with something here. I'm going to do a little start bench cut.
Shoot.
All right. MVP candidates: Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, or other. When I say or other, just pick a dude if you want to argue for someone else or if you want to fly with these three. Rules of start bench cut. I give these guys roughly about 30 to 45 seconds to tell me who they're starting, benching, and cutting and why. Go round robin, and I judge the winner. I'll tell you who I'm starting, who I'm benching, and who I'm cutting because we got three dudes here. All right, I'm going to start up with Shed because, honestly, I just missed his face. Bench cut, Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, or other. You are on the clock, sir.
I'm gonna start Lamar. I'm gonna bench Purdy, and I'm cutting Dak. Lamar Jackson is the MVP. Period. If you take him out of that game against San Francisco destroy. I mean, I don't care if they had 5 turnovers or not. Lamar Jackson made that game, man. He was so good. Like tonight, as good as that front four is, it didn't matter. The dude was just scrambling, running, making plays out of nothing. I mean, the guy is the MVP. I mean, that's just hands down without question. And I'll bench Purdy. I mean, Purdy plays well. I mean, it's his only second year in the league, and people are beating him up, I think, a little too harshly, in my opinion. I mean, the dude's 23 years old. He's been stellar all year. Yes, he had a bad game. I get it. It happens. Dak? Dude, it's Dak. Cut him. Next.
Mr. Nunez, you're up. Start bench cut, 30 to 45 seconds. Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, or other. You can name a different guy than Dak Prescott.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Tyreek Hill. The man's on a mission. 2,000 yards. 2,000 yards. Possible. I can honestly see it. I would bench Brock. Well, I mean, he had a bad game. But at the end of the year, you can't afford those type of games. And of course, I'm gonna cut Dak Prescott. He can kick rocks. I don't need a bid with that press nut fool. The hell with him. All hype up. That's all I gotta say.
I
about
never heard that one. Press nuts.
Yeah, press nuts. You know. Yeah.
Press
So,
nuts. We'll sit
so yeah,
on
that's my.
Yeah. We should have
That's-
seen that on Christmas, being they lost like Christmas Eve, man.
I was loving it. Yeah, so that's my pick, Rip, right there.
You're up, Idris.
See, Shed stole my fire. I'm gonna. Can I still pick Lamar Jackson, or I got to pick somebody else? What's the deal?
You could do whatever you want, Dak Prescott or other, because I just figured with the two best records, Purdy and Lamar naturally get mentioned.
I'm still gonna go Lamar Jackson. Starting. Brock. Backing up. I'm cutting Dak. How about I call him Big Head? My bad. Lamar. Mute yourself for a second, Richie. Mute yourself. All right. There we go. I'm going Lamar for the obvious reasons. He has less talent around him. He lost his starting running back. He lost his starting tight end to Andrews and Dobbins. And they still got the best record in the league. They're beating them on the road. They're beating them at home. They're beating teams with winning records. They've had their slumps here and there, but that team they have doesn't match up to the 49ers and
It's a good point, Idris.
the Eagles. They beat the 49ers.
He has less talent and is that good still. Good call.
He beat the Niners, which I think Niners are the baddest on the block. I got Purdy on the bench because Lamar is there. And I'm not going to go and say if somebody else was in Purdy's position, they would have done it. Maybe not. But still, the guy's the last pick in the draft. And he's working with these guys, and he's got this cohesiveness with them. He's doing this thing. I'm cutting Dak for obvious reasons. He can't beat a winning team on the road. In crunch time, he can't pull it out. 2 against Miami, he did what he had to do, but still, you're the starting quarterback. You got more time in the league than both them quarterbacks in the league, and you're still doing the same thing.
Indeed.
You haven't advanced.
Indeed.
Only reason Lamar gets it, Purdy doesn't get there because Lamar's there, but otherwise I'll put Purdy on top.
He was the favorite going into the Baltimore game to win the MVP, and obviously he did not play very well. So Lamar looked like the MVP.
I still put him on the race there because
he looked great.
I still put him in the race. He's just below Lamar, but he's still there because he's done what he had to do. He had to deserve the MVP. Everyone has a bad game. Everyone has that horrible game. Everyone does. I'm not going to knock him out for that.
LOL, Zappy.
Nice.
I'm a Giants fan. You think I'm going to knock a quarterback for having a bad day? Hell no.
All right. Round 2, start bench cut. We've got the NFC's rep. Eagles, 49ers, Lions. I am not mentioning the Cowboys on this part because I know that the 3 men on this panel have a great disdain for them. So I'm just going to put the Lions in here. Eagles, 49ers, Lions. Start bench cut. Who's going to win the NFC? We're going to start with you, Nunez. Go ahead. Oh, and by the way, round 1 was a tie because we have 2 other rounds. Let's go.
All right.
So.
I'm gonna say my fourth mic team. We're gonna come out at the right time.
Mute yourself,
We're getting help at the right time. Healthy at the right time. It's gonna start gelling. You're gonna start seeing hopefully a different fucking team, man. It's just irritating it right now. But I think Adele started to bench. Got to bench the Niners. I think still, to me, they're still all hype. Like I said, if they beat us in an important game, then we'll talk about if they're going to be Super Bowl contenders. But they got to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, in a championship game. And if anybody remember how 2017 was, when the Eagles had the same problem, they were 13-3, and what did they do? They won a Super Bowl. Of course, but greener pastures have happened. And I'm going to bench the Lions I don't believe in that whole crap, BS bull crap that they're doing. So yeah, they're full of shit.
Ouch.
So yeah, Jared Goff's gonna suck. He could suck a big one, and yeah, that's my
Damn.
opinion, John.
Tell me how you really feel, Daniel.
For
Tell me how
real.
you really feel.
Those guys are like, yo, look here, y'all
Let
can
the
grab
rip.
this and do that and
Damn.
everything.
You are up, Idris. Before I pass it to Shed, start bench cut.
I don't know how to come after. Follow up after do this, man. Hey, mute yourself again. I'm gonna go 49ers number one for the simple fact they did beat the Eagles, they beat the Cowboys, they beat the I mean their road record and their record against starting winning teams are like, yo, except for the Ravens, but they've beaten all of them, and that's that. I'm gonna bench the Eagles over the Lions for the fact the Lions still hadn't beat anybody big on the road yet. The Eagles,
They got absolutely smoked by Baltimore. Smoked.
right, and the Eagles, as many problems they had, they do play Dallas, and they beat Dallas. And this is not hate. They beat Dallas. Dallas is one of the contenders. They beat Dallas.
They are. Dallas is a contender.
And other than that, I mean, they beat everybody they had to beat. The Lions I'm cutting the Lions because as good as they are, when they went against the real good teams, they got that ass whooped. They lost. I mean, they played some good games, but they hadn't played what the Eagles and what the Niners have played. They just haven't done it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with I'm going to start the Niners. They've beaten, obviously, as you guys know, they've had a very tough schedule. They've proven they can beat really good teams. I know they lost to Baltimore. I get it. It is what it is. The Eagles, I'm going to bench. The Lions are not look, just like Idris' point, their strength of schedule was not very tough. I mean, we'll see what they can do against Dallas at home. I think Dallas is going to end up kicking the crap out of them, but I could be wrong. Dallas doesn't lose at home. Detroit hasn't played anybody like that, in my opinion, beat anybody. I mean, they beat Kansas City on the first game of the season. Kansas City's not the same team that they were, and Kansas City should have won that game. All right.
Yeah.
But the Lions, as Richie would say, they're the paper Lions. I really don't. The record doesn't indicate exactly how good they really are. And to go back to Philadelphia, they're getting healthy at the right time too. I think it's going to come down to San Francisco and Philly in the NFC Championship game. Where it's going to be played is still to be determined. Because I like the Niners this week against Washington, but next week they're playing the Rams, man, and the Rams are one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. And I don't want to play them. Even if we see them in the playoffs, I don't think any NFC team wants to play the Rams in the playoffs right now. Like, with Cooper Kupp and Nakua and Kyron really running the ball. And, dude, Matthew Stafford looks like an MVP. I know he's not going to qualify for it, but, man, he's playing MVP football right now. But that's what I got, Richie.
All right. Giving you the result of start bench cut for this round. Starting Shed, bench and Idris, and I'm cutting Nunez, and I'll explain why. Daniel, I don't see a scenario where the Eagles, because you got to convince me. I wasn't sure that you were convinced, like, hopefully and maybe and this and that. This is the thing, bro. And I mean no disrespect when I say this. I'm just calling it down the middle. I think the only reason why your season might last a week longer than the Dallas Cowboys is because you're going to end up winning the NFC East because your schedule got a lot softer down the stretch, whereas Dallas's got tougher. That's my opinion. You guys split the season series. If you guys played a third game, which I don't think is going to happen, a couple of weeks ago, I really felt strong that it was going to happen. I think the Cowboys would beat you. Just my personal opinion. Because the difference between the two games that I saw this year is that Dallas competed in Philly. And Philly got their doors blown off in Dallas. But I do believe that you guys should win the NFC East because Dallas lost one too many games that were 50-50s that they needed to win, whether it was against Miami or whether it was against Buffalo. And we saw how close you guys came to losing to Buffalo. Gabe Davis won out when he needed to go in. As this goes moving forward, the reason this is how I would grade it. It goes without saying that I'm going to start the 49ers because I still feel that they're the most talented team in professional football. But this is where I might throw a little curve. The The reason why I am benching the Lions is because when I think about expectations and where they are versus some of the heavy hitters, so to speak, even if the Eagles are a little better than the Lions, I don't know if they're that much better. The Lions can run the football, and the Lions have playmakers that can expose and exploit struggling secondaries. Does it all come together? My biggest issue with the Lions, similar to my biggest issue with the Eagles, is their defense. 49ers, barring a mass injury or two, they already are struggling a little, in my opinion, should win this conference. But to Shed's point about being afraid of the Rams and not wanting to see them, so to speak, I think a lot of AFC teams probably share that same sentiment for the Cleveland Browns right now. But, you know, the playoffs are a whole nother season, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays. Final game of the week, Sunday Night Football. My late father's beloved Green Bay Packers making the trip to Minnesota to take on the 7-8 Vikings. Minnesota turns to their fourth quarterback of the season in Jaren Hall after moving on from both Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins after the Kirk Cousins injury. The Packers barely squeaked by the very bad Carolina Panthers last week. So I don't necessarily think whoever wins this game is going to be flying into Week 18 as like hot, so to speak. But in a quarterback-driven league, I think about who's playing quarterback for each team. Jordan Love has made leaps and bounds compared to the limited sample size that we saw last year and a little bit of an up and down for, like, say, the first half of the year. I think Jordan Love is an ascending player. And if you take away that horrible performance in MetLife Stadium, for the most part, he's had a pretty good second half of the season. Both these teams are dinged up. The Packers' big issue is the receiving room. I think Jordan Love is going to have to play above his head, similar to the guy that he replaced when Aaron Rodgers made a lot of nobodies somebody. That's what he needs to do this week to win this game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know enough about what Jaren Hall brings. But what I do know is that Minnesota, when focused, can run the football, and they have the greatest wide receiver, if not one of the greatest wide receivers on the planet, in Justin Jefferson. I like Green Bay in a close one. I'm going to go Green Bay 30, Vikings 24. The Green Bay defense has not been playing all that well, and I do believe that with the playmakers the Vikings have, they keep it close. I think Green Bay wins the game, evens the season series, and with a Seattle loss, they might accidentally find themselves in the playoffs.
I don't think it's going to be that close. I just don't trust Minnesota's quarterback. I'm going to go Green Bay 31, Vikings 17.
I actually like Minnesota to win this game. They're home, and Ty Chandler's going to run the ball a lot, and Jair Alexander is benched for doing the little episode with the captain and the coin toss, and that dude's going to be covering Justin Jefferson. Now Jefferson's not going to be covered by him, and he's probably one of the best corners in the league. If not, he's top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
I again, to Richie's point, I don't know what Hall's going to bring either, but I do like Minnesota at home, and I do think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I like Minnesota 17-14.
Yeah, that's Jed. I didn't even think. I totally forgot about that he got benched.
Yep.
That changed the whole dynamics of my pick because I was gonna take Packers, but I'm gonna switch to Minnesota. I think the only thing that worries me, there's no T.J. Hawkinson. He is out towards Achilles.
Yeah, good point actually.
But Minnesota does find ways to win football. So let's say Minnesota 24, Green Bay 17. Just because the fact you get, just because the other fact good receivers though.
Yeah, I think this is one of the tougher ones to call for the week because of the sheer fact that there's so much question marks. And this is one of those years where I think most of us would agree you have a lot more mediocre and bad teams in this league right now than you do mediocre and kind of like ascending. It's very top heavy in the NFL right now, more than in most years. Because I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of teams in the NFC that don't belong in the playoffs, but you're going to have at least a couple that are going to appear just because. For the crew, Idris, Shed, and Mr. Nunez. I am Richie. Thank you for watching, and we will be back soon. We out.